I'm from Iowa, okay, and the notion of even ever being a model, like that guys did that, was like a weird thing for me. Like so I was going to college and studying. I wanted to be a geneticist, and I was at a bar, and I was like 19 years old, and this lady comes up to me. And she's like, "How old are you?" And I was like, "Hold on 1 second, let me order this drink." Order the drink. I'm like, "I'm 19." And she's like, "Have you ever thought about being a model?" And I was like, I just laughed, like because I thought Fabio was like the only, like that's what I knew a male model to be, was Fabio. And I was like, I you got the wrong guy. Like I don't know what you're talking. And I was like, I've thought about being an actor. She's like, "Well, modeling's a great way to get into acting." I was like, okay. And so I tell my fraternity brothers, this lady came and they're like, "Well, you got to do that. You got to do it." And I was like, "Well, what do I?" And so I go to a shopping mall and I walked. She's like, "All you have to do is walk from here to there and you can win a trip to New York and then I can help you get into all these things." I was like, okay. So I walked from here to there at the shopping mall and I win a trip to New York. And so I came to New York for this IMTA modeling competition. I don't know what's going on. Like, I do not know what's happening. I'm just like, they're like, wear this, do that, comb your hair like this, do this thing, and walk like that. I was like, okay. And so I do it. And these guys were like, Dumel was like a part of this one, I don't know where, I think they were out of California. I'm not even sure. But they had like they were taking it very seriously. Like, these guys were like professionally trained model men and men, right? Like I was like a boy. Yeah. And I'm like, and I get here and I had like my Boy Scout duffel bag and like my backpack and my sleeping bag and like a pocket knife and $100. Like that's what I came to New York with. And I was like, these guys are crushing me. But like it's like a competition and they're like, just keep doing it. And I get runner up and I'm like, man, these guys they're gonna have these big careers. And then I think the difference was I called home and I was like, I'm not coming home because New York was so crazy to me. I was like, this is insane, and I just want to stay here. And I called and I was like, I'm not coming home. My dad was like, no, get your ass back here, because I had a job at General Mills sweeping Cheerio dust. Like I was like doing janitorial. He's like, you need to come back. I got you this job. You need to get the job. You're going back to school. I was like, nah, Dad, I'm staying. And I think they all flew home. I think that was the difference. Mm-hmm. And I was like, nah, I'm staying. And so then I got an agent, started working. And then Josh and I did a movie together. We did, I think, a New Year's Eve.
Oh, yes.
Because I done Valentine's Day with Gary Marshall, who is this like amazing sort of like old iconic, like he did like these just unbelievable romantic comedies. And then I did Valentine's Day and he asked me to play the lead role in New Year's Eve. And then I was like, I had something else I was working on, and then Josh ended up doing it. So we did a movie together. I don't think we're in any scenes together.
Yeah. A little give and take from you and Josh. He won the modeling, then you gave him the lead role.
Josh is out here crushing it. He's working hard out in these streets.
Yeah. So are you. I mean, you've been doing a ton of press the last 2 weeks. We've seen every story, every headline. Is there something you're sick of talking about? Is there something you love talking about? I want to hear both ends.
I'm sick of talking about me. And I would really... No, I don't... You know, it's actually... I don't know. It's all fun. Like the fact that I get to do this and this is my job and I get to just have conversations and people even care to listen is shocking to me. So I'm still blown away by it. So let's talk about it. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Hey, we got plenty to talk about. You have been in so many things that we love. We're such big fans of you. And now you're doing this movie with Reese Witherspoon. And it's back in that romantic comedy genre, which you have not gone near in a while.
It's been like a decade. Yeah.
Was it Reese Witherspoon that got you to go back into it?
Yep.
Yeah. When Reese calls, you answer?
Well, here's the thing. She's such a bad ass. Like, she's such a badass. And she's like, I remember seeing her in Election when I moved to LA and I was like doing that 70s show and I saw this movie Election. I was like, who is that? Like because she has such a presence and she has chops, and then she has so much range. Like, she can do drama, she can do comedy, she can do everything. And And I was like, she's just like such a movie star, right? And for a bunch of the romantic comedies that I did, I would always say to my agent, like, see if Reese can do that. Like, I want to do this with Reese. And I only knew her socially. Like, I'd run into her at a couple parties or here and there. And she, over the year, in the last like 10 years, we've had a bunch of business conversations, but we didn't really know each other. And Aline Brosh McKenna, who did Devil Wears Prada and 27 Dresses, and like is just such a badass in and of herself. Every time I had a romantic comedy that I was working on, and if there was a scene that didn't work or a part that didn't work, I'd always reach out to Aline and be like, Aline, can you look at this with me and like see if you can dissect what's wrong with it? Because she's such a brilliant writer. And she'd be like, oh, try this and that. And then and of course it would work. And then so I was in Toronto. Amelia was shooting Luckiest Girl Alive. And I'm like hanging out doing dad duty because we don't work at the same time. One of us is always with the kids while the other one's working. And I get this call from my agent. It's like, hey, look, I know you said you didn't want to do anything. I know you said you don't want to work on anything, but you should check this out. Sent me the script. I stopped everything I'm doing and read it because I knew Reese was going to do it. I knew Aline was going to do it. And I read it and I was like, okay, it's about two people that have been friends for 20 years and realize that they're in love. I was like, I kind of know that story. And I've always wanted to do a film with Reese, and I love Aline. And I was like, I'm in. And then we figured out how to shoot it in LA, and then away we went.